Hi everybody. We recently had quite a few new joiners as of a week ago or something. So as a result, I've been receiving extra questions as to how exactly I learned Hindi. Whether that's from people just being curious or because they're trying to learn Hindi themselves and they want some tips. I thought I'd make this video as a useful reference point for people. So I'll try and break it down into steps, as in the steps that I took and used collectively in order to build on my language skills. Bear in mind, I'm still not fluent. I'd say I'm at an intermediate level, but just for a bit of reference, I started learning when I was 17, so it's been a few years now, and I started learning Hindi a year before I actually moved to India. So I'll say from the get-go, I don't think it's necessary to have to live in the country in order to, get your Hindi to the level that I'm at. I think you can get it to, a perfect level without actually having to live there and submerge yourself in the language, if that's not something you can do. Because I'll say from the start that my pronunciation is as you know it today from like month 1 or 2 of learning. Yeah, so the first step then that I took to learning Hindi was to watch a Bollywood movie a day. Bear in mind, the first thing that I did was not to pick up any books or anything. The first thing I did was just watching a Bollywood movie a day. So could have been anything. I've got a massive pile of Bollywood movies in the corner over there. By now I've watched thousands and thousands and thousands. Oftentimes I've watched the same ones on repeat, especially Shark movies. And I just sit there by myself in front of the TV for 2-3 hours, however long the movie was, and just sit there and mimic whatever they were saying, even if I'm saying it incorrectly, or even if it sounded as if I was making fun of their accent at first. That actually worked in solidifying my pronunciation. So that would help with people that have difficulty with a strong American accent when speaking Hindi, or English accent when speaking Hindi, or whatever it may be, like a child would do. And that's my main point. That's how children learn. They mimic. They learn through mimicking. Because the first thing they do isn't to pick up a book, because they don't know how to read. So that's not the first thing that children do when they're learning a language. But that was the first step that I took to, getting an understanding of the language and the way it's pronounced. Then the second thing that I did was to pick up the books. So this one, I think I've mentioned it before, is Get Started in Hindi by Rupert Snell. The whole range is by Rupert Snell. I've got all the books. I think I'm missing one, but yeah, I did purchase all the books and read my way through all of the books. And these are useful for understanding sentence structure. So that's the second step, is picking up the books. So yeah, once you understand, how it's pronounced, then it's time to understand how to structure the sentences. Now, bear in mind I'm dyslexic. However, I do find this the easiest explanation as to why you structure your sentences the way you do. It's all very well being able to speak it, but it's also useful to understand why you're speaking it in the way that you're speaking it, why the sentences are the way they are, and that will help you with that. It can also teach you the script as well, to read and write in the script. And I'd literally just read this again. I've read it multiple times, just going through it again and again and again, not rushing, so that I understand what I've just read and took. And if there was anything that I didn't understand, I'd reread that chapter or that section until it was ingrained in my mind. And as I said, because I'm not fluent still to this day, still I have difficulty with spontaneous conversation, I'll bookmark things that I don't quite understand, like again, why is the sentence structured like that? At every point I'm always going back and re-establishing and growing on the language. So yeah, these range of books were useful. I think they're about £10, but they'll come with you everywhere. At least they do with me. They come in my suitcase and everything. Third step is to build upon my vocabulary. You will learn some new words in this, but for the most part it's just sentence structure. So in order to build upon my vocabulary, there was a couple of things that I did. One of the things was just reading through this book. It's called Hindi English Visual Bilingual Dictionary by DK, and it's a picture dictionary. Again, because I'm dyslexic, I think that's useful because I can put pictures to words so that I don't forget them. Bear in mind, I think some of these words are outdated. However, you will soon get to know that anyway. But still, it is very useful. And the way in which I'd remember these words is each day, or majority of days, for a couple of hours, I'd just sit by myself with a load of pieces of paper, find about 15 words that I wanted to learn for the day, and then just with the paper, write that word in Hindi again, over and over and over and over and over again, filling up about that much of the page with each word, just writing it and writing it and writing it out while speaking it out loud, so I could understand the spelling, how to spell it, and also I would pronounce it how I felt it was pronounced, because obviously you are going to pronounce some of the things wrong when it's just from a book and you're not actually listening to it. But that's what pulling the first step is useful for. By watching Bollywood movies, you'll notice these words that you're learning popping up and you'll be like, oh, okay, so that's how it's pronounced. I was pronouncing it this way. So at every point, you have to be pulling in every step continuously to build upon your language ability. And I knew that I would forget some of the words by the end of the week, so I'd go back on those words and again sit down, writing them out again and again and again. And then using those in real life, I would go around my house. Bear in mind, I lived with my parents at that point. I would go around my house just literally talking to myself, pointing out those objects or colours or things in real life, saying them out loud, trying to use them in sentences. So I got used to actually speaking the language. I mean, you sound weird as anything talking to yourself, but it gets the job done, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, that was step 3. Step 4, again, building upon vocabulary. I used a software called Before You Know It. Now, this software isn't good for learning sentence structure. That's what you need these books for. However, it is a cheap alternative to Rosetta Stone, and it's very good at remembering the vocabulary and actually knowing how to pronounce them, because the software will speak it out for you as to how it's pronounced. And the way in which they teach you, it stays in your memory. So yeah, that was £30 or £40, as to Rosetta Stone, which I think is 150 or something like that. And then, yeah, so 5th step obviously was moving to India, because then obviously you are submerged in the language. Though the majority of people do speak English, you do still hear the language around you, and in a lot of instances you will have to use the language in the case of people that don't speak Hindi, or just because you want to actually just speak it, just because you want to build upon your language learning skills. So collectively, pulling in all those steps, I was able to bring it to the level that I'm at today, which again is, I'd say, intermediate. So yeah, hopefully that will help a few people to break it down in an easy way. But it does take dedication, because otherwise these tasks would seem very mundane for you to do. You definitely have to be dedicated to actually learning it. But yeah, if you do have any other questions, then just comment down below and I'll be able to help you with that. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.